Today I'll recap a 2017 thriller action film, Revenge. So keep your eyes wide open and stay safe. The movie starts. Jen and Richard arrive in style, stepping out of a chartered helicopter onto the scorching sands of a desert paradise. Richard, a wealthy businessman with a sharp smile, accepts a small bag of peyote from the pilot, a mind-bending drug that's not for the faint of heart. Jen, a stunning and free-spirited young woman with big dreams of making it in Los Angeles, believes that Richard is her golden ticket. She uses her charm and playful seduction to keep him interested. After their passionate night together, Richard coolly calls his wife to check in as if nothing unusual happened. The next morning, the peace of their romantic escape shatters. Richard's hunting buddies, Stan and Dimitri, show up much earlier than expected. Their sudden appearance wasn't part of Richard's plan. He intended for Jen to be long gone before they arrived. Now forced to introduce her, he plays it off smoothly, but the tension in the air is thick as a desert mirage. Later that night, the group throws a wild party. Drinks flow like water, and Jen becomes the center of attention. Her carefree spirit shines as she twirls and moves to the beat, her confidence radiating like the desert sun. When she asks to try the peyote, Richard refuses, telling a chilling tale about a man who sawed off his own leg without feeling a thing. Undeterred, Jen turns her energy toward the dance floor, her eyes sparkling with danger. Richard watches but doesn't join her. Instead, Stan steps into the spotlight, his eyes dark with desire. Jen dances closer, her movements bold and seductive. Stan's hunger grows, and a sinister tension grips the air. Richard notices but dismisses it, too confident in his control over the situation. But this is only the beginning of a nightmare where the roles of hunter and prey are about to twist into something far more deadly. Jen wakes up alone in the desert villa, the morning sun blazing as her so-called paradise starts to feel like a trap. Richard has stepped away, leaving her with Stan and Dimitri. But the air grows heavy with danger when Stan corners her. His smile twists into something dark, and when Jen rejects his advances, his frustration turns violent. What started as a game of flirtation spirals into horror as he forces himself upon her in a brutal act of betrayal. Dimitri, cold and silent, watches from a distance. He sees everything but turns his back, shutting the door on her screams. His indifference burns almost as much as Stan's cruelty. Both men are complicit in the nightmare unfolding. When Richard returns, he discovers what happened and unleashes his fury on Stan. But his anger isn't about justice, it's about keeping control. He tries to bribe Jen into silence, offering to send her far away with a fresh start in Canada. But Jen, shaken and furious, won't be bought. She threatens to expose their secret relationship to his wife. The mask of charm falls from Richard's face. He slaps her hard, the sharp crack echoing in the quiet villa. Heart pounding, Jen flees into the merciless desert, her only hope to outrun the three men chasing her. Richard, Stan, and Dimitri close in, their footsteps crunching on the rocky ground, each one louder than the last. Panic floods Jen's veins, but she pushes forward, until Richard's rage catches up with her. In a final brutal act of cruelty, he shoves her off the edge of a towering cliff. Her body crashes into the desert below, the world going silent as she is impaled by a jagged tree branch that pierces her torso like a spear. Blood pools beneath her, the dry earth greedily drinking it in. Above, the men stare down at her broken body. Richard assures his friends that no one will find her, that they can finish their hunting trip and walk away clean. He's wrong. What comes next will turn the desert into a bloody battleground, and Jen, who they left for dead, will rise from the depths of despair to become something far more terrifying than prey. Jen slowly regains consciousness, her body bruised and broken, but her spirit refuses to give up. She's still bleeding heavily, and the sharp pain from the tree branch sticking through her torso feels like it might crush her, but she digs deep and fights to free herself. With every movement, the agony rips through her, but she won't give in. When the three men return, believing she's dead, Jen hides in the shadows, watching them search for her in the desert. The sun begins to set, and they split up to cover more ground, believing their job is almost done. But they're wrong. Jen is still alive, and she's not going down without a fight. As night falls, Jen spots Dimitri alone. With her heart pounding, she makes her move. Dimitri grabs her face in a tight, cruel hold and forces her underwater, trying to drown her in the cold, dirty water. But Jen is far from powerless. With her last ounce of strength, she grabs his hunting knife and drives it into his eye. The brutal moment ends with Dimitri collapsing in a pool of blood. With Dimitri dead, Jen takes his shotgun and uses the weapon to hide in a nearby cave. She's not out of danger yet, but she's not backing down. As she catches her breath, she remembers Richard's peyote, the same drug that was supposed to numb her. She decides to take it. Soon, the peyote kicks in, and Jen feels her mind shift into a strange, heightened state. She feels everything around her, each sound, each movement, become clearer. She pulls the tree branch out of her body with a sharp cry of pain, then heats up a beer can in the fire, using it to cauterize the wound. The intense heat brands her belly, leaving behind a scar in the shape of a phoenix. It's as if she's been reborn from the ashes, but the torment doesn't end there. Nightmares haunt Jen, vivid dreams of the men hunting her down like prey. They won't stop, but she refuses to be their victim. Jen's ready. She leaves the cave, determined to face the men who thought they could break her. The hunt is on, but this time, the hunter is her. After Dimitri's brutal death, Richard and Stan find his lifeless body. They don't have time for emotions. They just throw him into a shallow grave, hoping no one will ever find him. But little do they know, Jen is still alive and waiting for her chance to strike. Stan, thinking he's still in control, grabs an SUV and drives off to continue the hunt. He's determined to find Jen, but he doesn't see her coming. While he's filling up the gas tank, Jen ambushes him. She's angry, she's hurt, and she's ready for revenge. A bloody, intense gunfight erupts. The air is thick with the sound of bullets as Jen fights for her life and her freedom. Stan, desperate to escape, tries to run Jen down with the SUV, but Jen is quick, dodging and fighting back with everything she's got. In the end, Stan doesn't make it. He's taken down, his own attempt to hurt her turning into his final mistake. Jen stands tall, covered in blood, but alive, and more determined than ever. The tables have turned, and she's the one hunting now. After not being able to reach Stan on the radio, Richard panics and speeds back to the house. His mind racing, he calls for a helicopter to come pick him up, thinking he needs to escape. But just as he's trying to calm himself, he hears something, a noise that sends a chill down his spine. Before Richard can react, Jen bursts in, her face bloodied but full of rage. She shoots him in the stomach, and for the first time, Richard feels the pain of his actions. The two of them begin a deadly cat-and-mouse game, chasing each other around the house with shotguns in hand. Every step Richard takes leaves a trail of blood as it stains the floor and walls. His own blood, showing just how badly he's been hurt. Despite losing so much blood, Richard refuses to give up. He catches Jen, slamming her down and beginning to strangle her with all his might. But Jen isn't out yet. With everything she has left, she forces her hand into his exposed stomach, her fingers digging into his wound. Richard screams in pain, but Jen doesn't hesitate. She pulls the trigger and shoots him dead. Covered in blood but victorious, Jen walks out of the house. The sound of the helicopter grows louder in the distance, but Jen knows that her revenge is complete. She has survived the nightmare, and now, she's the one walking away. So, which awesome movie should we recap next? Drop your suggestions in the comments below, and let's make it happen. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button so you never miss out on our movie recaps. We've got plenty more coming your way. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Produced by Warner Movie Recaps.